Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into one of the biggest hurdles for any researcher, student, or, well, anyone really, the act of writing itself. Specifically, we're going to talk about why it can feel so impossible to just get started.
You know that feeling, right? Staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page, deadline getting closer and closer, it's just paralyzing. Well, if you've ever felt that, this is for you. We're not just going to talk about why it happens. We're going to give you a way to break that cycle for good.
Okay, so let's get right into it by absolutely demolishing the two biggest myths about writing. These are the really clever excuses our brains cook up that keep us stuck, sometimes for weeks or even months. This is the big one, the classic "I'm just not ready yet" excuse. We tell ourselves, if I just read one more article or if I just analyze one more data set, then I'll be ready. But here's the catch. All that extra reading often just makes the project feel bigger and muddier, leaving us feeling even less prepared than when we started. And here is trap number 2, this idea that you need to have a perfectly clear, fully formed argument in your head before you can type a single word. But that gets the whole point of writing completely backward. And this right here, this is the absolute game changer. Writing isn't some final performance where you record your brilliant finished thoughts. No, it's the messy, active process where you create them. That fuzzy, unclear feeling in your head, that's not a stop sign. It's a green light. It's the universe telling you, okay, time to start writing to figure this thing out. So if we accept that writing is actually a tool for thinking, how in the world do we fit that messy process into our already jam-packed schedules? This brings us to a super practical strategy that totally destroys the whole "I just don't have time" excuse. You see, most of us operate on what you could call the binge model. We wait for that mythical, wide-open Saturday to finally write. But that puts so much pressure on that one day that we often just end up procrastinating it away. The alternative? A much healthier, way more sustainable snack model. Snack writing is all about consistency over intensity. The goal here is to prove to yourself that a focused 30-minute session is infinitely more valuable than a full day of writing that never actually happens. It's all about making real, tangible progress, one small bite at a time. Now, to make this really work, there are 2 simple but crucial rules. First, you've got to be regular. Doing it just once a week isn't enough to build momentum. You want to aim for more. Second, always park on the hill. What does that mean? It means at the end of every session, you leave yourself a few notes or a half-finished sentence about what to do next. That way, you eliminate that friction of, where was I? And you can just jump right back in. And this is super important. To make these short sessions count, you have to be disciplined. During your writing snack, your one and only job is to generate new words. That's it. It is not the time for reading articles, editing sentences, hunting for references, or messing around with fonts. All that stuff is important for sure, but it gets its own separate block of time. So, once you start consistently getting words on the page with your writing snacks, you're ready for the step that will absolutely accelerate your progress, moving your work out of the dark and into the light. It's time to go from hiding your work to actively telling people about it. This analogy is just perfect. When you obsess over perfecting a single sentence in an early draft, it's like trying to put clothes on a body that hasn't even been built yet. Your first job is to build the actual body, the core argument, the structure. You can worry about the fancy clothes and accessories later. As one writer put it so brilliantly, it's like spending all your time on clothes, hair, and makeup before she had a body to put them on. And come on, let's be honest. We've all been there, right? We've spent an hour polishing one perfect paragraph, only to realize later that the entire section doesn't even belong in the paper. So what's the solution? It's actually surprisingly simple, even if it feels a little terrifying. Get that messy, imperfect draft in front of another human being, do it early, and do it often. Stop waiting for it to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. The goal is progress, not perfection. And that leads us straight to the final and, honestly, the most powerful tool in your entire writing toolkit: feedback. I know it can feel intimidating, but learning how to really hear it and use it, that's where the magic really happens. To make feedback work for you, you have to completely reframe your mindset. The old way of thinking hears, "This part is a little unclear," and thinks, "I'm a failure." The new mindset understands that feedback isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's the very tool that makes your work the best it can possibly be. It's a gift, not an attack. So here are 3 really practical ways to manage that process. First, ask specific questions. Don't just hand it over and say, "So, what do you think?" Ask something like, "Is my main argument in section 2 coming through clearly?" Second, if the feedback stings, and sometimes it does, give yourself permission to put it away for a day. Let the emotion fade. And finally, keep your perspective. One critical comment on one paragraph doesn't mean the whole thing is trash. And if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. You have got to separate your identity from your draft. Feedback is about the words on the page. It's not a judgment of your intelligence or your worth as a person. It's about the project, not you. So there you have it. We've busted the myth of readiness. We've switched from binging to snacking, and we've learned how to embrace feedback as a gift. The only question left is, what will your first writing snack be? What's one small 30-minute step you can take today to finally get some words on that page?